Hello everyone, this is the LEGO Botanicals Mini-Bonsai Trees set. It's one set that includes all 3 small trees with 709 pieces. I paid $65 US for this. It's 60 euros, 55 pounds UK, or $80 Canadian. The specimens are a Wisteria or Wisteria, however you choose to pronounce that. This is a Ginkgo or Ginkgo biloba in particular, and that is a Japanese black pine. I'm going to start with the Ginkgo, which has a very bright color scheme. Here's what it looks like compared to a random minifigure. Again, these are miniaturized. All of the pots are the same between them, but there are 2 different sizes of stand. This one doesn't have a stand on it right now. And here's the instruction manual, and specifically showing the reference material or a suggestion of potential reference material. So that's what a bonsai Ginkgo can look like when it's specifically in its fall colors. So, pretty soon the leaves will be falling off from there. But I don't know personally. I'm not familiar with the bonsai procedure for Ginkgos in particular, but it looked like from that picture, it looked like the tree was staying in its full juvenile form. So all of the foliage looked like it was juvenile, at least as far as I can tell, which is interesting. But definitely the shaping of the leaves looks very good here. It looks very close to real. All of the pots are built pretty much the same, and then the terrain in here is built differently from one to the next. However, there are a lot of similarities between them, but I think it's good. I mean, for the size of this looks pretty nice. The suggestion of the bright color for the moss is what they're going for with the lime green color there. You have some of these minion hair pieces done in olive green. They're getting good use out of that mold. And then you can slightly adjust the angles here, but I think keeping them pretty close to parallel with the ground for each of the boughs is the play, I think, is the best way to do it. This is very artful. This definitely looks like a shape that a bonsai artist would go for. And I think a good job has been done here, given that this is made with Lego pieces, and the smaller you make something in Lego, the harder it is to make it look organic. I think this is pretty nice. There definitely is repetition with each of these boughs of foliage up here being essentially identical. You can change the angles of things around a little bit to try to, create some simulated randomness there, move these around forward to back and stuff like that. And again, up and down a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty close like this. I don't like that right there. It sticks out a little bit. I wish that was covered up on the top, but otherwise, this is generally just pretty nice. It's very elegant, in my opinion. It looks organic enough for something that's made out of plastic bricks. The pine probably looks a little bit more familiar to folks. It's more of a well-known silhouette there, and the shape of its needles. This is a very commonly used overall training shape. But honestly, the tufts here, the tufts of needles, from a distance, they look right. But then as you start to get in closer, you see that, wait, those are very flat. Oh yeah, it's very flat indeed. And then you have this big, huge hollow section in the middle. So the closer you get to this, the worse it looks, I think. The farther you get away and the more you're looking at it from the side, it all comes together and looks really, really good. I'm glad that they got a significant horizontal angle right here. Again, the pot built very similarly, some similar techniques used for the terrain build as well. This one's kind of climbing around some rock there. And just generally, I think that these look good. They probably look maybe a little bit more juniorized, a little bit more like, no offense, but a little bit more like juniper, the poor man's bonsai genus, I guess. But I still think this looks good. I just do wish that they had some more of the foliage in there, the green bits, to just fill that in a little bit more and have a little bit more thickness to each of those. Again, you have to move them around to try to simulate some randomness. I do recommend trying to clump some of them together to get a little bit more depth in there. And then this one has a stand on it right now, but again, that's it. It's just, this is the short stand, and it's nice. Like, I like that. And I like the dark orange color for this 8x8 grate piece. I wish it was a little bit more visible, but still, while you're building it, it feels good. And I look forward to seeing people use that color, in custom builds for other things. And then last but certainly not least, here's the Wisteria or Wisteria. Again, I don't care how you choose to pronounce it, but The reference material over there is a little bit striking compared to what Lego did, in that there's so much density here. Because, this tends to grow very vine-like. Here, you obviously have quite a bit of trunk that's built up, but it tends to grow very, very dense, and especially when it's blossoming. And here you just have these very distinct groups of flowers, and they're just so far apart. It just doesn't quite do it. Now, it is a lot of repetition to build these, but I think this is a case where that repetition was absolutely needed, and more of it would have really, really helped. I think that this one misses the mark the most. I love the color stack here. That's really good. I like the source material that it's based on. This one also has the larger stand down here, which is done pretty nicely. Again, same thing there, but just longer legs, and I like how this is put together. Very similar thing done for the terrain that it's on. You got the lime green, olive green, a little bit of sand green in there as well, and then some bright green just peeking through around the corners. Shape of the trunk, I think, is done pretty nicely, and this one actually has a whole section that's coming directly up out the top, so very similar to how the Ginkgo was done, but then this one finishes it with an additional center stem or branch that comes out there. The overall shaping of this is good, gives you some more options for how you can shape it around too, but I think that the default is pretty close to good. This just needs more flowers. That's all. It just really needs a lot more flowers to look more like what it's supposed to be. This looks a little bit sickly from a certain point of view. These are the only leftover pieces, and of course this set has no stickers. Here I went ahead and swapped the stands on a couple of them just for the sake of variety. Again, this was a 709 piece set. It cost me $65 US. It's 60 euros, 55 pounds UK, or $80 Canadian. Just a very enjoyable experience. Again, definitely has some repetition involved in there when you're building out the foliage. Also some repetition in the pot, given that the pots are intended to be part of a set. But even in the build of the terrain felt very similar between them. That's not a problem, though. It's really not a problem. This obviously needed more flowers, but just generally, this is definitely an enjoyable set to look at. It didn't take too long to put it together. They do give you 3 different instruction manuals. So if you have multiple people who want to work on the set on the whole, you can divvy up the tasks between the different ones. And overall, it just feels good to me. And it's a little bit of variety. It doesn't look like the other, not just other bonsai, but the other Botanicals sets. This definitely carves its own space. Speaking of the other bonsais, here they are. I'm sorry, I can't find my stand for this one to elevate it back up. I hope I didn't take it apart, but here's what the whole family looks like together right now. Interestingly, to me, the OG is looking not that hot anymore. I mean, I loved this when it first came out, but I wonder if it's time for another one of these to actually be designed, something of this size with green foliage, with just updated pieces and updated design sensibilities, because a lot of people obviously build this with all of the pink frogs on it and enjoy that, but it doesn't fundamentally change the shape of the trunk and the branches, and I just feel like this one is starting to fall behind aesthetically compared to the rest. I think even the Japanese maple feels much more developed and modern and good, but still all of them together look very nice. I think that in this family photo it would be better to have the blossoms on this one. I think that would end up making it stand out better and also feel a little bit more modernized, just because it's so different that way. But yep, this is the whole group, and I'm happy with this. Am I happy with $65 for this? Not particularly. Given that it's just pieces of plastic, no, I would like these to be probably like $15 each, and then it takes us to $45, and then add the stands. Like, honestly, the 50 would feel okay to me. It's still way too much, but you know, for a fancy product for fancy people, I think 50 would be okay. So yeah, 65, it's not exorbitant, but definitely a little bit more than I would like to pay. But at least the product itself is good, and my complaints are relatively minor. But you know, value is very subjective, and yeah, I have my own references, and I do cover things other than just Lego, and I have experience with a lot of things other than just Lego, and therefore I know that these pieces of plastic should not cost this much. But that's it for my thoughts here. Thank you very much for watching. Hope that this video brought you some value, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.